They say I fell down the stairs. That's the story my parents tell at least. Their clumsy daughter Olivia always having accidents. But MRIs don't lie and mine showed the truth. 17 years of accidents mapped across my skeleton like a secret diary. My brother Tyler's push that day wasn't meant to paralyze me. It was just supposed to be another joke they'd all ignore. Except this time there was a video. This time the doctors called the police. This time, I didn't get back up and pretend everything was fine. Funny how one push can topple an entire family's lives. The lake house sat perfectly against the water. All wooden beams and huge windows that caught the afternoon sun. From the outside, it looked like something from a magazine. The perfect family getaway. Inside, 17-year-old Olivia pressed herself deeper into the corner of the living room couch, trying to become invisible while her extended family filled the space with loud conversation and laughter. Olivia stopped sulking in the corner. Her mother, Jennifer, called out, not even looking at her. "Come help set the table." Olivia stood slowly, keeping her eyes down. She'd learned over the years that the best way to survive these family gatherings was to stay quiet, stay helpful, and stay out of Tyler's way. Her 19-year-old brother was holding court near the fireplace, telling some story about his college fraternity that had their uncles roaring with laughter. He caught her eye as she passed, and his smile shifted slightly. That small change in expression made her stomach tighten. "There she goes," Tyler announced loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Watch out, everyone. Olivia's on the move. Better secure your valuables." A few relatives chuckled. Olivia kept walking toward the kitchen. "Remember last Christmas when she knocked over Grandma's china cabinet?" Tyler continued, warming to his audience. "Cost Dad what, $3,000 to replace everything?" "It was an accident," Olivia said quietly, not turning around. "Everything's an accident with you." Tyler shot back. "That's why we can't have nice things." Their father, Robert, laughed from his armchair. "Tyler, leave your sister alone. You know how sensitive she gets." The word sensitive hung in the air like smoke. Olivia had heard it her whole life. Sensitive, dramatic, difficult. The words they used to explain away everything to make her the problem instead of addressing what was really happening in their house. In the kitchen, she found her Aunt Susan arranging appetizers on a platter. Susan gave her a small smile, the kind that said she understood, but wouldn't say anything. Nobody ever said anything. "Could you take these to the dining room?" Susan asked gently. Olivia nodded, grateful for the task. She carried the platter carefully, aware that Tyler was watching her from across the room. She could feel his eyes tracking her movement, waiting for her to stumble or drop something. She made it to the table successfully and started arranging the plates. "Kids these days," she heard her uncle saying to Tyler. "When I was in college, we knew how to have real fun. None of this social media nonsense." "Oh, we have plenty of fun," Tyler said, his voice carrying that edge of Olivia knew too well. "Right, Liv? Tell Uncle Pete about all the fun you have at school." She didn't respond. She never knew what the right answer was. If she said she had friends, he'd mock her for lying. If she admitted she mostly kept to herself, he'd call her a loser in front of everyone. "She doesn't really do the social thing," Tyler answered for her. "More of a library ghost. Probably why she's so pale." "Tyler," their mother said mildly, not even looking up from her phone. "Be nice to your sister." But there was no real warning in her voice. There never was. The afternoon stretched on painfully. They played board games and Olivia tried to participate just enough to avoid attention. But Tyler kept finding ways to needle her. When she went a round of Trivial Pursuit, he accused her of cheating. When she got up to use the bathroom, he commented on how she always ran away when things got competitive. By evening, the atmosphere in the house had shifted. The adults had been drinking since lunch, and the younger cousins were getting cranky. Olivia saw her opportunity to escape during a particularly heated game of Monopoly. Tyler had just bankrupted their cousin and was gloating loudly when she quietly stood up. "Where are you going?" Tyler's voice cut through the celebration. "Just upstairs for a minute," she said, already moving toward the staircase, running away again. He was on his feet now, following her. Typical Olivia. Can't handle a little competition. "I'm just tired, Tyler." You're always tired or sick or something. He was right behind her now as she reached the staircase landing. It's pathetic. She tried to move past him, but he stepped in front of her, blocking the way. He was bigger than her. Had been since he hit his growth spurt at 14. Now at 19, home from his sophomore year of college, he seemed to take up even more space than before. Tyler, please move. Or what? He spread his arms wide, grinning. I'm protecting the kingdom from the dragon. You can't pass. It was such a childish game, something from when they were little. But there was nothing playful in his eyes now. Olivia tried to duck under his arm, and that's when it happened. His hands connected with her shoulders hard. Not a push exactly, more like a shove, the kind that sent her backward with real force. She saw his face change as she fell, saw the flicker of something that might have been surprise or fear. Then she was tumbling, her body hitting the stairs at the wrong angle, her back twisting as she tried to catch herself. She heard the crack before she felt it, a sound like a branch breaking. Then she was at the bottom of the stairs and the pain arrived all at once. She couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could only lie there staring at the ceiling while footsteps thundered above her. What happened? That was her mother's voice, sharp with annoyance. She fell, Tyler said quickly. She just fell. Olivia tried to speak, tried to say that wasn't what happened, but she couldn't get enough air. Her back felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. For God's sake. Her father's voice boomed from the top of the stairs. Olivia, get up. You're making a scene. She tried. She really tried. But when she attempted to move her legs, nothing happened. The panic that flooded through her was worse than the pain. I can't, she whispered. What do you mean you can't? Her mother was coming down the stairs now, careful in her heels. Stop being dramatic, Mom. I can't move my legs. There was a moment of silence. Then her father laughed. Actually laughed. She's fine. She's always pulling stunts like this for attention. Tyler appeared at the edge of her vision. His face pale. It was just a joke, he said, but he was talking to their parents, not to her. I didn't push her that hard. So, you did push her? Aunt Susan's voice came from somewhere Olivia couldn't see. Not like that, Tyler said defensively. We were just messing around. She needs a hospital, Susan said firmly. She needs to stop being so dramatic, Robert countered. Olivia, seriously, get up. You're embarrassing yourself. The extended family had gathered now, a circle of faces looking down at her, some concerned, some annoyed, most just uncomfortable. The little cousins were being ushered away. Someone was saying something about ruining the evening. Olivia closed her eyes, tears sliding down her temples into her hair. She could hear them talking about her around her, but not to her. Never to her. She was a problem to be solved, an inconvenience to be managed. And now she couldn't feel her legs, and they still didn't believe her. Come on, sweetheart. Try to sit up. Her mother's voice had shifted to the fake sweetness she used in public. They had an audience now, and Jennifer Harrison never looked bad in front of an audience. Olivia tried again, using her arms to push herself up, but the movement sent lightning through her spine. She screamed, couldn't help it, and fell back. Jesus Christ, her father muttered. Tyler, help your sister up. Tyler moved forward, reluctantly, reaching for her arms. Come on, Liv. Stop being weird. Don't touch me. The words came out louder than she intended. Tyler jerked back like he'd been slapped. I was trying to help, he said, his voice rising. It was just a joke. Okay. I didn't mean for you to fall like that. You pushed me, Olivia said, her voice shaking. I was playing around. Tyler's face was red now. You're the one who's clumsy. You're always falling over stuff. That's true. Their mother chimed in quickly. Remember when she fell off her bike last summer, and that time at school when she tripped in the cafeteria? Olivia wanted to scream that those weren't accidents either. That Tyler had loosened her bike chain, that he tripped her in the cafeteria. But what was the point? They never believed her. They never wanted to believe her. We should call an ambulance, Aunt Susan said again, her phone already in her hand. Absolutely not, Robert said firmly. We're not wasting emergency services on a teenager's tantrum. Robert, she says she can't move her legs, Susan argued. She's lying, he said flatly. or exaggerating. She always does this. Time passed strangely after that. Olivia lay on the floor while the family debated above her. Someone suggested moving her to the couch, but when they tried, the pain was so intense she nearly passed out. Eventually, they left her where she was, throwing a blanket over her like she was a piece of broken furniture they didn't know what to do with. The party continued around her. She could hear them in the dining room, the clink of silverware, the murmur of conversation. They were eating dinner while she lay on the floor. The numbness in her legs was spreading, a cold sensation creeping up from her lower back. She tried wiggling her toes, concentrated all her effort on it, but nothing happened. Her 8-year-old cousin Emma snuck over to her while the adults were distracted. Emma was a quiet kid with huge brown eyes who rarely spoke at family gatherings. "Olivia," she whispered, kneeling beside her. "Are you really hurt?" "Yes," Olivia whispered back. "Why won't they help you?" Olivia didn't know how to answer that. How did you explain to an 8-year-old that sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones who hurt you the most? "Can you stay with me?" Olivia asked instead. Emma nodded and sat cross-legged beside her, her small hand reaching out to hold Olivia's. They stayed like that for what felt like hours. Emma occasionally stroking Olivia's hair the way her own mother never did. "This is ridiculous," Olivia heard her Uncle Mark saying from the dining room. "The girl needs medical attention." "She's fine," Robert insisted. "Trust me, I know my daughter. This is what she does." "What she does is lie on floors paralyzed," Mark's wife, Caroline, asked sarcastically. "She's not paralyzed," Jennifer said sharply. "She's being dramatic. She's always been jealous of Tyler, always trying to get him in trouble by throwing herself down the stairs." Caroline's voice was incredulous. "You don't know her like we do," Robert said with finality. "She's manipulative. Has been since she was little." Olivia felt Emma's hand tighten in hers. Even an 8-year-old could recognize gaslighting when she heard it. The argument continued until Caroline stood up from the dinner table and announced she was calling 911. "You do that and you're not welcome in this house again," Robert threatened. "Fine by me," Caroline shot back, her phone already at her ear. The room erupted. Robert was shouting about lawsuits and family loyalty. Jennifer was crying about how Caroline was ruining everything. Tyler kept saying it was just a joke, over and over like a broken record. When the paramedics arrived 15 minutes later, the house fell silent. 2 EMTs, a man and a woman, entered with professional calm that cut through the family chaos like a knife. "Hi there," the woman said, kneeling beside Olivia. "I'm Rachel." "What's your name?" "Olivia." "Hi, Olivia. Can you tell me what happened?" "She fell," Jennifer said quickly before Olivia could answer. "She's clumsy, falls all the time." Rachel didn't look at Jennifer. Her eyes stayed on Olivia. "Can you tell me what happened?" "I was pushed," Olivia said quietly. "Down the stairs." "She's confused," Robert interjected. They were playing around. Kids being kids. The male paramedic was already examining her, his hands gentle but thorough. "Can you feel this?" he asked, touching her legs. "No," he exchanged a look with Rachel. "We need to transport her immediately." "This is unnecessary," Jennifer protested. "She's just bruised. Maybe pulled a muscle." Rachel stood up slowly and turned to face Olivia's parents. "Ma'am, your daughter is showing signs of potential spinal injury. She needs immediate medical attention." "She's faking," Robert said flatly. The male paramedic was checking Olivia's back now, carefully lifting her shirt. He went very still. "Rachel," he said quietly. "You need to see this." Rachel moved around to look and her expression hardened. Olivia couldn't see what they were looking at, but she could guess. The bruises, old ones and new ones, the map of Tyler's jokes written on her skin. "We're transporting now," Rachel said, her voice different, colder. "And we'll need someone to come with us to answer some questions." "I'll come," Jennifer said quickly, grabbing her purse. Rachel looked at her for a long moment. "Actually, we'll need both parents. Hospital policy." As they loaded Olivia onto the stretcher, she heard Rachel speaking quietly into her radio. Most of it was medical jargon she didn't understand, but she caught the last part clearly, requesting police presence at the hospital. Possible child abuse situation. Tyler's face appeared above her as they wheeled her toward the ambulance. He looked scared now. Really scared. Liv, he whispered urgently. Don't say anything stupid, okay? It was just a joke. You know, it was just a joke. But Olivia was done pretending, done protecting him, done being silent. As they lifted her into the ambulance, she looked him straight in the eye and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "No, Tyler." It wasn't. The hospital was a blur of white walls and bright lights. Olivia was rushed through corridors, medical staff calling out terms she didn't understand. The pain medication they'd given her in the ambulance made everything feel distant and dreamlike, but she could still feel the weight of what was happening. 17-year-old female fall downstairs approximately 3 hours ago. Rachel was saying to the emergency room doctor, possible spinal trauma, unable to move lower extremities, multiple contusions in various stages of healing observed on back and torso. The doctor, a woman with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, leaned over Olivia. "Dr. Patel, we're going to take good care of you, okay?" Olivia nodded or tried to. They'd put her neck in a brace and movement was difficult. "We need to get her to imaging immediately," Dr. Patel said. "Full spinal series, and I want a complete body scan." "My parents," Olivia whispered. "They're here," a nurse said gently. "They're in the waiting room." As they wheeled her toward the MRI suite, Olivia could hear her mother's voice carrying down the hallway. "This is ridiculous. She's fine. This is all a misunderstanding." The MRI room was cold and sterile. The technician, a young man named James, explained everything he was doing as he positioned her. "This is going to be loud," he said kindly. "Like really loud construction noise, but I'll be right here the whole time, and you can talk to me through the intercom if you need anything." A nurse stayed with her, holding her hand as they slid her into the machine. The woman's touch was gentle, maternal in a way Olivia's own mother's had never been. "You're very brave," the nurse whispered just before the machine started. The MRI seemed to last forever, the banging and clicking sounds reverberating through her bones. Olivia closed her eyes and tried to think of anything else, but her mind kept returning to Tyler's face, to that moment of surprise when she'd fallen, like even he hadn't expected it to go that far. When it was over, James helped transfer her to a regular hospital bed. His face was carefully neutral, but Olivia saw him exchange a look with a nurse. "The doctor will begin to talk to you soon," he said, but something in his voice had changed. Alone in the room for the first time, Olivia could hear her parents in the hallway. Her mother had arrived and was demanding to speak to the doctor privately. "I need to know what she's telling people," Jennifer was saying. "She has a tendency to exaggerate." "Ma'am, your daughter has a serious injury," someone responded. "She's always been clumsy," her father's voice joined in. "This is probably costing thousands of dollars for nothing." Olivia's phone buzzed on the bedside table. The nurse had salvaged it from her pocket. She looked at the screen and her stomach clenched. A text from Tyler. "Don't say anything stupid. It was a joke. You know how mom and dad get. Don't make this worse than it is." Then another. "I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean for you to get hurt." And another. "If you tell them I did it on purpose, you'll destroy our family." She was still staring at the messages when Dr. Patel returned. And this time she wasn't alone. The technician was with her and they both looked grave. "Olivia," Dr. Patel said, pulling a chair up beside the bed. "I need to talk to you about what we found." "Am I paralyzed?" The word came out as barely a whisper. "No," Dr. Patel said quickly. "The good news is that while you have a compression fracture in your L3 vertebrae, your spinal cord is intact. With treatment and physical therapy, you should regain full mobility." Olivia felt relief flood through her, but the doctor's expression didn't change. However, Dr. Patel continued. The MRI showed something else, something concerning. She pulled up images on a tablet, showing them to Olivia. They looked like ghostly white pictures of bones. "These are your ribs," she said, pointing. "This fracture here is fresh from today, but these," she pointed to several other areas. "These are older, different stages of healing. This one is maybe 2 months old. This one perhaps 6 months." Olivia stared at the images. "Evidence." Finally, evidence that she wasn't crazy, wasn't dramatic, wasn't making things up. There's also this. Dr. Patel continued showing another image. Damage to your T7 vertebrae that's at least a year old. Olivia, these injuries, they paint a picture of repeated trauma. Can you tell me how they happened? The room felt very quiet suddenly. Olivia could hear her heart monitor beeping. Could hear voices in the hallway, but it all seemed very far away. My brother, she said finally. Tyler, he likes to play rough. Play rough how? And suddenly it was all spilling out. The pushing, the shoving, the accidents that weren't accidents. The time he'd pushed her off her bike and she'd ended up with a concussion. The time he locked her outside in the snow in just her pajamas. The time he'd held her head underwater in the pool until she'd nearly drowned, then told everyone she'd been showing off and gotten in over her head. Dr. Patel listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on her tablet. When Olivia finished, the doctor was quiet for a moment. Olivia, what you're describing is abuse. Physical abuse. And from these scans, it's been going on for a long time. My parents say I'm clumsy, Olivia said automatically. You're not clumsy. You're being hurt. And from what I'm seeing here, you've been hurt for years. There was a knock on the door and a nurse poked her head in. Doctor, the parents are insisting on seeing their daughter. Not yet, Dr. Patel said firmly. I need to make some calls first. She turned back to Olivia. I've asked hospital security to contact the police. Someone needs to document this properly. Is that okay? Olivia nodded, feeling something shift inside her chest. For the first time in her life, someone believed her. Someone saw what was happening and called it what it was. Her parents must have forced their way past the nurses because suddenly they were in the room. Her mother's face was flushed with anger, her father's jaw clenched tight. What are you telling them? Jennifer demanded. What lies are you spreading? Mrs. Harrison, Dr. Patel said, standing up. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. She's my daughter. I have every right to be here. Your daughter is 17 and has disclosed abuse. Hospital policy requires abuse. Robert's voice was dangerous. She fell down the stairs. If she's saying anything else, she's lying. The medical evidence suggests otherwise, Dr. Patel said calmly. Medical evidence. Jennifer laughed, but it sounded hysterical. She's clumsy. She's always been clumsy. Tell them, Olivia, tell them about all your accidents. But before Olivia could respond, 2 hospital security guards appeared in the doorway along with a police officer. Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, the officer said, I'm Officer Thompson. I need to speak with you and your son. Is he here? This is insane, Robert said. We're not talking to anyone without a lawyer. That's your right, Officer Thompson said. But I'll need you to come with me now. We have some questions about your daughter's injuries. Jennifer turned to Olivia and for a moment her mask slipped completely. The look she gave her daughter wasn't motherly concern or even anger. It was pure hatred. You're destroying this family, she hissed. No, Olivia said, finding her voice at last. Tyler did that. And you let him. Officer Thompson escorted her parents out, but not before Olivia heard him say something that made her heart race. We're also going to need to speak with Tyler Harrison. Is he in the waiting room? Dr. Patel sat back down beside Olivia's bed. You did the right thing, she said gently. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you did the right thing. Olivia looked at the MRI images, still displayed on the tablet. All those old fractures, all that hidden damage finally visible, the truth literally written in her bones. What happens now? She asked. Now we make sure you're safe, Dr. Patel said. And we make sure this never happens again. Through the door, Olivia could hear commotion in the hallway. Tyler's voice, loud and defensive. It was just a joke. I didn't mean to hurt her. She's always been dramatic. Then Officer Thompson's voice, calm but firm. Mr. Harrison, I'm going to need you to come with me. For years, Olivia had been falling, and no one had caught her. But here, finally, someone was standing at the bottom of the stairs, ready to help her back up. The MRI hadn't just shown her injuries. It had shown the truth. And the truth, after all this time, was finally setting her free. The hospital hallway had become a battlefield. Through her door, Olivia could hear her mother's voice rising to a pitch she'd only heard a few times before, when Jennifer Harrison's carefully constructed image was truly threatened. "You can't just take my son." Jennifer was practically screaming. "He's a good boy. He's in college. He has a future." "Ma'am, he's 19 years old." Officer Thompson's voice was steady. "He's an adult, and we need to ask him some questions about your daughter's injuries." "It was an accident." Tyler's voice cracked. "I already told you. We were just messing around." Olivia pulled the thin hospital blanket up to her chin, trying to block out the chaos. A soft knock on her door made her look up. A woman in her 40s with gentle eyes and a professional blazer entered. "Hi, Olivia. I'm Sarah Mitchell from Child Protective Services. Even though you're 17, we're involved because there are younger children who visit your home. May I sit?" Olivia nodded. Sarah pulled up a chair, her movements calm and deliberate. "I know you've already told your story to Dr. Patel, but I need to hear it from you. And I need to know about your cousin Emma and any other children who spend time at your house." "Emma's safe," Olivia said quickly. "Tyler only does this to me." "Why do you think that is?" Olivia had never really thought about it before. "I guess I was the only one who ever said no to him. When we were kids, I wouldn't let him copy my homework. Wouldn't cover for him when he broke things. He called me a snitch." Sarah made notes in a small notebook. "And your parents? They think he's perfect. He's the athlete, the popular one, the one going to a good college." She trailed off. "You're just what?" "The problem, the difficult one, the one who ruins things by existing." Before Sarah could respond, the door burst open. Robert Harrison stood there, his face red with rage. A man in an expensive suit beside him. "This is David Kramer, our attorney," Robert announced. "Olivia, you're not to say another word to anyone without him present." "Mr. Harrison," Sarah said calmly, "your daughter is giving a statement about her injuries. She has the right to speak freely." "She's a minor," the lawyer said smoothly. "And as her parents, my clients have the right to be present for any questioning." Actually, Dr. Patel appeared in the doorway. "Olivia is 17 and in the state of Colorado. She can make her own medical decisions and speak to authorities about abuse without parental consent." "Abuse?" Robert's voice was dangerous. "My son pushed his sister during a game. Siblings fight. That's not abuse." "Mr. Harrison," Officer Thompson had returned. "We've just reviewed the text messages your son sent to your daughter after the incident. Messages where he admits to pushing her and tells her not to say anything. We're placing Tyler under arrest for assault." The explosion was immediate. Jennifer began sobbing dramatically. Robert was shouting about lawsuits and the lawyer was making threats about false arrest. But through it all, Olivia heard Tyler's voice from the hallway. "She made me do it. She's always provoking me. She knows how to push my buttons." "That's enough, Tyler." Another officer's voice said, "You have the right to remain silent." The words faded as they led him away. Jennifer rushed after them, her heels clicking on the hospital floor. Robert lingered, staring at Olivia with an expression she'd never seen before. "You've destroyed everything," he said quietly. "Your brother's future, our family's reputation, everything we've built." "For what? Attention?" "For the truth," Olivia said, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. He left without another word. Sarah stayed with her for another hour, asking careful questions about the home environment, about patterns of behavior, about the times she'd tried to tell someone and been dismissed. When she finally left, she squeezed Olivia's hand. "You're very brave," she said. "And you're not alone anymore." That evening, Aunt Susan snuck into her room after visiting hours, looking around nervously. "I had to use my hospital volunteer badge to get in," she admitted, sitting on the edge of Olivia's bed. "Your parents have you on a no-visitor list except for them and their lawyer." "Why are you here?" Olivia asked, genuinely curious. Susan had always been kind, but never intervened before. "Because I should have done this years ago." Susan's eyes filled with tears. "I knew something was wrong. The bruises you always had. The way you flinched when Tyler came near you. The way your parents always dismissed your injuries. I knew and I said nothing because I didn't want to cause drama in the family. It wouldn't have mattered." Olivia said they wouldn't have believed you either. Maybe not, but I should have tried. Susan pulled out her phone. I've been taking pictures at family gatherings for years. Going through them last night. I found something. She showed Olivia the screen. It was a photo from last summer's 4th of July party. In the background, barely visible, Tyler had his hand on Olivia's arm, gripping hard enough that, even in the blurry background, you could see her wincing. There are more. Susan said Christmas 2 years ago. There's one where you have a black eye that your mom said was from walking into a door. Your cousin's birthday party where you're wearing long sleeves in 90 degrees weather. I'm giving these to the police. They'll never forgive you, Olivia warned. Good, Susan said firmly. I don't want their forgiveness. The next morning brought a new complication. Jennifer arrived with a different strategy, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. Sweetheart, she said, reaching for Olivia's hand. Olivia pulled away. I know you're confused and hurt. The medication they have you on, it can make you remember things differently. The MRI doesn't lie, Mom. Jennifer's expression flickered. Those old injuries, they were from your clumsiness. Remember when you fell off your bike? When you tripped at school? Tyler loosened my bike chain. He tripped me at school. You can't prove that, Jennifer said. And there was something triumphant in her voice. It's your word against his. And, sweetheart, who do you think people will believe? The star athlete with a bright future or the troubled girl who's been in therapy for anxiety and depression? Olivia felt her heart sink. She had been in therapy briefly until her parents decided it was making her worse and pulled her out. The medical evidence. Olivia started shows injuries that could have come from anywhere. Jennifer interrupted. Our lawyer says without proof that Tyler caused them intentionally, it's just unfortunate accidents. She leaned closer and Olivia could smell her expensive perfume. Come home, Jennifer whispered. Tell them you were confused, that it was an accident. Tyler will apologize. We'll get you the best physical therapy, and everything can go back to normal. Normal. Olivia couldn't help but laugh. Normal was being afraid in my own home. Normal was being called clumsy and dramatic when I was being hurt. Normal was you choosing him over me every single time. Jennifer stood up, smoothing her skirt. You have until tomorrow to decide. After that, you're on your own. No college fund, no health insurance after you turn 18. Nothing. You'll be just another sad story. Alone and broken. After she left, Olivia lay in the dark, tears sliding down her face. They were right about one thing. It would be her word against theirs. The Harrison family versus the troubled daughter. Then her phone buzzed. It was Emma's mother, Caroline. Check your email, the text said. Olivia opened it to find a video file. It was from the lake house taken on Caroline's phone. She'd been recording Emma singing, but in the background, clear as day, was the staircase. The video showed Tyler blocking Olivia's path, showed him shoving her, showed her falling, everything. Emma remembered I was recording her. Caroline's next text read, "We have proof." The video changed everything. Within hours of Caroline sending it to the police, Tyler's charges were upgraded from simple assault to aggravated assault. The prosecutor, a woman named Amanda Washington with sharp eyes and an even sharper suit, came to see Olivia personally. This video combined with your medical records and testimony makes a very strong case, she explained. But I need to be honest with you. Your family has money. They've hired David Kramer, who's very good at what he does. This is going to get ugly. It's already ugly, Olivia said. Amanda smiled slightly. Fair point. Tyler's been released on bail with conditions. No contact with you. He can't come within 500 feet of you, and he has to surrender his passport. My parents posted his bail. Within an hour of his arrest, Olivia wasn't surprised, but it still hurt. The next few days brought a media storm. Somehow, the story had leaked. College student arrested for assaulting sister. Made the local news, then spread to social media. Tyler's fraternity suspended him pending investigation. His college announced they were reviewing his enrollment status. Robert and Jennifer fought back in the court of public opinion. They gave an interview to a local morning show. Jennifer dabbing at her eyes with a tissue as she described Olivia as a troubled teen who had always resented her successful brother. "We've tried so hard with her," Jennifer said to the sympathetic host. "Therapy, medication, special attention. But she's always been jealous of Tyler." "And these injuries?" the host asked carefully. "She's always been accident-prone," Robert said smoothly. "We have medical records going back years. Falls, bumps, bruises. We even had her tested for balance disorders. They were good." Olivia had to admit that they'd taken every injury Tyler had caused and spun it into evidence of her supposed clumsiness. But Amanda Washington was better. She released a statement with select portions of the medical records showing the pattern of injuries consistent with abuse, not accidents. She shared statistics about sibling abuse, how it was often overlooked and dismissed. And then, with Olivia's permission, she released a single still from Caroline's video. The moment of Tyler's hands on Olivia's shoulders, his face twisted in anger. Tyler's carefully crafted image crumbled overnight. His social media filled with comments calling him a monster. His fraternity officially expelled him. The college announced he was no longer welcome on campus, and Tyler predictably lashed out. Despite the restraining order, he found ways to get messages to Olivia through mutual acquaintances. "You've ruined my life. I hope you're happy. This is all your fault." But the most chilling message came through their cousin. "She's lying about other things, too. I never heard her before. This was the only time." That's when Olivia made a decision. She started writing. She'd always kept journals hidden in various places Tyler and her parents couldn't find them. Now, in the hospital, she began transcribing them, typing everything into her phone. Every incident, every injury, every dismissal, every excuse. "September 15th, 2 years ago, Tyler pushed me into the pool fully clothed because I wouldn't give him my homework. When I couldn't swim properly in jeans and sneakers, he told Mom I jumped in to get attention. December 23rd, 3 years ago, he locked me in the basement storage room during Christmas dinner. 3 hours in the dark when Dad finally found me. Tyler said we were playing hide and seek and I was too stupid to realize the game was over. March 10th last year. Broke my ribs wrestling. Mom said it was my fault for not being careful. I had to wrap them myself because they wouldn't take me to the doctor." Pages and pages of evidence, dated and detailed. Sarah Mitchell from CPS read through them with tears in her eyes. "This is systematic abuse," she said, "and systematic neglect from her parents." The prosecutor added the journals to evidence. The case was building. Meanwhile, Olivia had been moved to the rehabilitation wing of the hospital. Her spinal fracture was healing, but she needed intensive physical therapy to regain full mobility in her legs. The first time she stood up, supported by parallel bars, she cried. Not from pain, but from relief. "You're doing amazing," her physical therapist, Marcus, encouraged her. "Most people with your injury take weeks to get this far." "I'm motivated," Olivia said through gritted teeth, taking another shaky step. "I can see that. Family visiting today?" "No," Olivia said simply. Marcus didn't push, but she did have visitors. Caroline came every day with Emma, who drew pictures for Olivia's room. Susan brought home-cooked meals, ignoring the angry texts from Jennifer calling her a traitor. Even Uncle Mark stopped by, awkwardly admitting he should have stood up to Robert years ago. "I was a coward," he said simply. "I am sorry." A reporter from the Denver Post reached out wanting to do a feature story on sibling abuse. After discussing it with Amanda, Olivia agreed to an interview with her identity protected. The article, titled "The Hidden Epidemic: When Siblings Become Abusers," featured Olivia's story prominently. It talked about how sibling abuse was often dismissed as kids being kids. How parents often enabled it by refusing to see one child as capable of seriously hurting another. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of people reached out with their own stories. Olivia read them late at night, finding comfort in knowing she wasn't alone. But the Harrisons weren't giving up without a fight. David Kramer filed motion after motion. He argued the video was inadmissible because it was taken without Tyler's consent. He claimed Olivia's journals were creative writing exercises, not factual accounts. He brought in a medical expert who testified that Olivia's injuries could have resulted from a connective tissue disorder that caused easy bruising and fractures. They're trying to gaslight the entire legal system, Amanda told Olivia after a particularly frustrating hearing. But juries aren't stupid. They can see patterns. The trial date was set for 3 months out. Tyler remained free on bail, though his life had effectively imploded. He'd been kicked out of his apartment when his roommates learned about the charges. His girlfriend left him. His summer internship was rescinded. Robert and Jennifer sold their vacation home to pay for his legal defense. "Look what you've done to us," Jennifer said during what would be their last confrontation at the hospital. "We're selling everything. Your father's reputation is ruined. Tyler can't go back to school. Are you satisfied?" "I didn't do this," Olivia said quietly. "Tyler did this. You did this. Every time you looked away, every time you called me dramatic, every time you chose him over me, you did this. We gave you everything." Jennifer exploded. "You gave me bruises and anxiety and a brother who knew he could hurt me without consequences." Olivia shot back. "That's what you gave me." The courtroom was smaller than Olivia had expected. 3 months had passed since the fall, and she could walk now, though she still used a cane on bad days. Today was a bad day, but she refused to lean on it as she made her way to the witness stand. Tyler sat at the defense table in a suit that couldn't hide how much weight he'd lost. Their parents were behind him, Jennifer clutching Robert's hand like a lifeline. They wouldn't look at her. "State your name for the record," the clerk said. "Olivia Grace Harrison." Amanda Washington stood up, giving Olivia an encouraging nod. "Olivia, can you tell us about your relationship with your brother?" For the next 2 hours, Olivia spoke. She talked about the years of abuse, the constant fear, the way her parents had dismissed and diminished her pain. She kept her voice steady, even when describing the worst incidents. David Kramer's cross-examination was brutal. "Isn't it true you've been in therapy for depression?" he asked. "Yes, because being abused is depressing. You kept journals, but you never told anyone what was allegedly happening." "I told my parents multiple times. They didn't believe me. Or perhaps these incidents didn't happen the way you remember them." "The MRI doesn't lie, Mr. Kramer. Neither does the video." He tried everything, suggesting she was jealous of Tyler's success. That she had a pattern of attention-seeking behavior, that her injuries were self-inflicted or accidental. But Olivia had spent 3 months preparing for this with Amanda. She didn't waver. The prosecution's evidence was overwhelming. The video played on a large screen, Tyler's shove clear and deliberate. The medical experts explained how the pattern of injuries was consistent with long-term abuse. Sarah Mitchell testified about the family dynamic she'd observed. Then came the surprise witness. The prosecution calls Madison Wells. Olivia didn't recognize the name until a young woman took the stand. Then she gasped. Madison had been Tyler's girlfriend in high school. "Miss Wells." Amanda began. "You dated Tyler Harrison for how long?" 2 years. Junior and senior year. Why did the relationship end? Madison looked directly at Tyler. "He pushed me down a flight of stairs." The courtroom erupted. Jennifer actually screamed. "She's lying." The judge banged his gavel. "Order." Madison continued, her voice shaking but determined. "He said it was an accident. I believed him at first, but then I saw how he was with Olivia at a family dinner I attended. The way he accidentally hurt her. The way their parents ignored it. I realized what he'd done to me wasn't an accident either." "Did you report it?" Amanda asked. "No, I was 17. I was scared and I saw how the Harrisons treated Olivia when she tried to speak up. I knew no one would believe me." Tyler's defense fell apart after that. 2 more ex-girlfriends came forward with similar stories. A teammate from high school testified about Tyler's violent temper. The pattern was undeniable. When Tyler took the stand in his own defense, he was a shadow of his former confident self. "It was just roughhousing," he insisted. "Siblings fight. I never meant to really hurt her." "You never meant to break her ribs." Amanda pressed. "Never meant to fracture her spine. I didn't know I was hurting her that badly." She screamed. She cried. "She begged you to stop. And you didn't know?" Tyler's jaw clenched. "She's always been dramatic. Like Madison Wells was dramatic. Like Sarah Chin was dramatic. Like Rebecca Foster was dramatic." "That's different." How is it different, Mr. Harrison? Tyler's composure finally cracked because Olivia knew how to push my buttons. She knew exactly what to say to make me angry. She wanted me to get in trouble. So, you're saying your 17-year-old sister deserved to have her spine fractured? I'm saying she's not innocent in this. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Guilty of aggravated assault. Guilty of pattern of abuse. Guilty of violating the restraining order through third-party contact. Tyler was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 5 years probation. He would have to register as a violent offender. His dreams of law school, of the successful future he'd always assumed was his, were over. Robert and Jennifer were charged with child neglect and endangerment. They received probation and were required to attend parenting classes and therapy. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. After the verdict, Olivia stood in the courthouse hallway, leaning on her cane. Her parents walked past without a word, but Jennifer stopped at the last moment. "I hope you're happy," she said coldly. "I'm free," Olivia replied. "That's enough." She went to live with Susan, who had already set up a room for her, painted in the soft blues and greens Olivia loved. It wasn't perfect. Nightmares still woke her, and some days the trauma felt overwhelming. But she was in therapy again, real therapy this time, with a counselor who specialized in family abuse. 6 months later, Olivia published an essay in the Washington Post titled "The Fall That Saved My Life." It went viral within hours. She received thousands of messages from other survivors, from parents who recognized warning signs they'd been ignoring, from siblings who realized they were being abused. She started speaking at schools and conferences about recognizing and reporting sibling abuse. She testified before a state legislative committee about the need for better protective laws. The physical therapy was grueling, but a year after the fall, she could walk without assistance. She'd never run marathons or play contact sports, but she could move freely without fear. She started college the following fall, majoring in social work with a minor in creative writing. Her roommate asked about her scars once, and Olivia told her simply, "My brother hurt me, but I survived." On the anniversary of the fall, Olivia stood at the bottom of a different staircase, the one in her dorm. She looked up at it, remembering that moment of terror, that sensation of falling with no one to catch her. But she'd caught herself in the end. The MRI had revealed the truth, but she'd been the one brave enough to speak it. The fall hadn't broken her. It had finally given her the evidence she needed to break free. She climbed the stairs slowly but steadily, each step a small victory. At the top, she looked back down. Just stairs, nothing more. Her phone buzzed with a text from Emma, now 10 and thriving. "Saw your article in my teacher's class today. She says you're a hero." Olivia smiled, typing back. Not a hero, just someone who finally told the truth. She walked to her room, past a group of students laughing in the hallway. One of them called out, "Hey Olivia, study group tomorrow." "I'll be there," she called back. She had friends now, real ones, people who knew her story and liked her anyway. Not in spite of her trauma, but because of the strength she'd shown in surviving it. That night, she opened her laptop and began writing. "Dear Tyler, this is the last thing I'll ever write about you. You took 17 years of my life, but you won't get a single day more. I don't forgive you. Forgiveness is mine to give or withhold, and I choose to withhold it. But I don't hate you either. Hate would mean you still have power over me. And you don't. Not anymore. I hope you learn from this. I hope you get help. I hope you never hurt anyone again. But mostly, I hope to never think of you after today. This is goodbye. Your sister, former Olivia." She never sent it. Instead, she deleted it, closed her laptop, and pulled out her chemistry textbook. She had a test tomorrow, a life to live. A future to build. The MRI had shown the fractures in her bones, but it hadn't shown the strength that had always been there, waiting to heal, waiting to rise. And rise she did. Have you ever wondered how many clumsy kids are actually crying for help in plain sight, their truth buried under family secrets and perfect facades? If this story moved you, please like and subscribe and share so others can become aware of this problem too. There are more voices that need to be heard.